Hi everyone. Today I'm talking with Sina, who runs a Twitter account following Iranian football all around the world. So welcome, Sina. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get down to it. Iran. What do you think are Iran's chances in this year's World Cup?
Yeah, I'm going to compare it to 2014, and the sort of qualification path that we took in 2014 was a lot more strenuous than we did in the build up to this World Cup. I remember the qualification to Brazil. It wasn't easy at all, and it all came down to one match in the end against South Korea, where we were away from home, and there was a lot of pressure on our team. And if we didn't score, if we didn't win that game, then we probably wouldn't have qualified or gone to the playoffs. It was very uncertain as to what was going to happen. So luckily we got through. But this qualifying campaign was a lot more certain. We went 12 consecutive games without conceding a goal, and the players seemed to want it a lot more, and the ability was there. You could see it with the defending, with the attacking side of it, and we comfortably qualified for the World Cup. I think we were the first or second Asian team to qualify. So I think Iranian fans have a lot more belief with this team.
Hmm.
We've got loads more players playing in the European elite competitions as opposed to the last World Cup, where a lot of the players came from the domestic division, where it's not as great as the top divisions. We've got loads more players playing in the Dutch divisions, the Belgian divisions. I know it's not the Premier Leagues or the Bundesligas, but we're getting there. There's definitely progress. So um, last World Cup, we had a decent group. We had Nigeria, Argentina, and at
Sorry.
Bosnia.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we had quite an easy group. But then this World Cup, we've got a very challenging group. I think the pundits has been saying is probably the hardest group in the tournament. We've got Spain, Portugal, Morocco, and there's us.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, Ronaldo's Portugal, Spain. You don't even need to question their ability. There's just ability all over the park. So that first game versus Morocco is absolutely imperative for us
Hmm.
to challenge to get out of that group.
Hmm. Yeah. Just to go back to the players being up for the qualifying, is it difficult to get European-based players to travel back to Iran to play in the qualifiers, or um, so how does that work? I mean, are they happy to go back and forward for qualification games, or is it
Yeah,
is it a struggle to get them to come back sometimes?
there's a lot of different angles you can take with that question. So the first thing Carlos Queiroz, our manager, did when he came into the job many years ago now, before this World Cup and the last World Cup, was to try to source players that have dual nationality
Hmm.
in the European division. So um, he approached players that used to play for the European teams at the under 23, under 21 levels, like Ashkan Dejagah, and many more as well, but mainly him, Reza Ghoochannejhad as well. Both Ashkan Dejagah was playing at Fulham at the time, and Reza Ghoochannejhad was playing in I think Belgium or Holland, I can't remember. But he was so Ashkan Dejagah actually won the German under 23 World Cup. So he was he's very much posed to make the German team if he had the ability, of course.
Hmm.
So he went to him, and luckily he wanted to play for us. So he did that with a lot of other players as well, and I think that's something that he's been trying to do is get our players into playing at the European divisions as well. And then, but the difficulty with Iran always is that politics has always been intertwined with football,
Hmm.
and it's something that's very unique to our country and not very, um, it's not shared with other countries. So um, there's been a lot of controversy come up with a lot of our players that have had difficulties playing for our country. Um, as you might know, I don't know if you know, but one of our standout defenders at the last World Cup, who was defending against Lionel Messi so well, um, who was incredible that game, was Mehrad Pouladi,
Hmm.
and he wasn't allowed to play for our team anymore because he didn't do his military service. In
Okay.
France. He had to do a stand-up tournament that campaign, but he wasn't allowed to come back and play for us,
Okay.
which is the politics side of it. And then other players who play in the Europa and Champions Leagues, um, most notably in Olympiacos. We've had a few players, and also in the Greek divisions where Masud Shojaei plays for. In the Greek divisions, he played against the Israeli team in the Champions League, and because Iran doesn't recognise Israel as a country, there was a lot of controversy around whether he'll be in the World Cup, whether he'll be allowed to play for Iran again. Luckily, he was allowed to play. I think Carlos Queiroz stood up for him as a player. But if he wasn't as experienced as he was, I doubt he'd be able to get back into the team. I think they very much turned a blind eye to it because he was such an experienced player in our squad.
So
Yeah,
how does Carlos Queiroz deal with all that kind of outside influence and still maintain, a team that gets into the World Cup for the last 2 years?
So he's done a hell of a job. I very much give him a lot of credit for what he's done, because not only does he have to be an outstanding football manager, but he has to deal with a lot of outside influences and sort of stand up for his players a lot more than other managers would, when it comes to the politics side. And our federation doesn't really support a lot of the decisions that he makes, and he has to fight with them endlessly as well. So he's threatened to leave quite a few times. In fact, I think he's officially quit on like 2 occasions, and he's actually threatened to quit again after this World Cup. So there's an endless sort of tug of war, if you want, between the federation and the manager as well, because he is an outstanding manager. There isn't any question about it. He used to manage Real Madrid, Portugal. He was assistant manager to Sir Alex Ferguson in Manchester United. So, he's had a very challenging job, and it's not made easier with the whole political strains that he's had to deal with as well.
Okay. So the question was the difference between Iran and Iranian teams of the past, but it's really about this team must have they improved since the last World Cup? I mean, because the last World Cup they really did surprise a lot of people. I mean, the first game against Nigeria, I think it was pretty dour, but then when they played Argentina, it's just that performance, it was just total surprise.
Yeah.
But you could see it was the work done, and it was from the manager as well. I mean, so have they improved since that last World Cup?
Yeah, there's been a pretty big transformation, I would say, between 2014 and now. So when they came out against Nigeria in their opening game, there was a lot of, inability, inexperience at the top levels, but most importantly, nervousness amongst them. They've never played on a stage that big before. A lot of them came from the domestic division, where, although a lot of fans do turn up, actually, there is a lot of fans, but nothing at the capacity of the World Cup, where there's tons of cameras, tons of noise everywhere, and it's the World Cup, so there's always that sort of pressure on the players that they're not accustomed to, because they've played at the lower divisions of global football. But fast forward to now, we've got players playing in the Champions League, in the Europa Leagues. We had a player who recently came in, Saman Hudos, who played against Arsenal in the Europa League, and he was named man of the match in the tournament, in the game. So, we've had a lot of players move from Iran into the European competitions, and I think that would definitely help us moving forward into these big games such as the World Cup. We do well in the qualifying matches and the friendlies, but when it comes to pressure, a lot of our players can't deal with that because they haven't had that experience. So I remember last World Cup, Carlos Queiroz very much favoured the experienced players. So I think we had the oldest average age squad of any other team in the World Cup in 2014. Fast forward to now, I think we've got the youngest average in our group, which is a huge transformation. Just because we've had players move from our domestic division into the European divisions, so Carlos Queiroz doesn't have to prioritise experience and age over that playing experience. Do you understand? So there has been a huge transformation, but we're not the finished article. I'm not saying that we are. We still a lot of our players have come from the domestic division, and only European football, I think, can help them, and that's something that Carlos Queiroz very much believes in as well.
So, looking at the group, it's a tough enough group. Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. So how do you think Iran will play each game, and how do you think they'll set themselves up for each game, and what do you think the end result will be?
Yeah, it's a it's a very tough group. I think when I was watching the draw, is yeah, it's my heart. Like
Yeah.
I saw the progress, and then the group came up. I was like, wow, okay, this is going to be a huge challenge. So yeah, luckily our opening game is against Morocco and not one of the big boys. But you know, Morocco's still a good team, and we can't take credit away from Morocco. They're going to fight as much as we are. But that game against Morocco will be like a World Cup final for us. We need to win that game,
Hmm.
and it's extremely important that we do. So if we win that game, which I hope we do, we haven't won a game since 1998 in the World Cup. So it's been a long time, and we only scored one goal last World Cup. So I really hope we see more goals this tournament.
Hmm.
Um, that game is really important. If we get the 3 points there, I think we do stand a decent chance of progressing. But you know, Iranian fans don't expect loads from the team. I think the most we expect is to challenge the teams, challenge the Portugals and the Spains.
Hmm.
I think Portugal we could possibly grind out a draw, like
Hmm.
we almost did against Argentina.
Hmm.
So Messi scored a last minute goal, so Ronaldo
Hmm.
might do the same thing. Who knows?
Hmm.
Spain, I don't really. I mean, I'd like, but they've got loads of Real Madrid players. Isco especially, I think Isco will run riot against us. He's
Hmm.
an extremely talented player. I very much respect him. So I think a win against Morocco and possibly a draw against Portugal, and we stand a very decent chance of progressing. If not, I think that's a decent campaign for us, nevertheless.
Hmm. Well, I mean, as you said, it depends how you perform, and if you have the luck, that's great. I mean, because the last World Cup, the first game, as we said, you were right. It definitely looked like nerves on the big stage,
Mm.
but then the Argentinian game, I mean, I was so unlucky.
So, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think that the team got a lot of new fans because of that game. I mean, you might not have won, but you showed the world that that's Iranian football. I mean, it was really just Messi and a bit of magic, I think.
yeah,
So.
the heart and spirit was there in our players. You could tell, like they were very much fighting for their lives there,
Hmm.
because that's probably their biggest games. Like for most of the players, the biggest games of their lives.
Mm. I
So
mean, it's the same at like Algeria against Germany. I mean, sometimes you lose games, but you win more fans than if you
yeah,
toddle
sure.
along in an easy group and get knocked out in the second round, and nobody will remember your performance. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, okay. Okay. So the coach, Carlos Queiroz. I have to be honest. Unlike yourself, I wasn't probably sure of him as a manager. um, I think there might have been a bit of a question mark, but as since that World Cup, I've been questioning myself because you can see the coaching from the sidelines, what he's done to the team. So, and you can see he's put a lot of heart and effort into it, and the fact that he's stuck around for another 4 years says a lot. So I guess everybody's happy to have him then in Iran.
There's been a few critics, as with any sort of footballing decision. I think most people do respect what he's done to the team, but a lot of people do. A lot of skeptics say, well, he gets paid a lot of money in Iran, obviously,
Hmm.
and they say, well, we could possibly transfer his salary to youth football, which
Yeah.
something that we do lack in Iran because of funds or sanctions or there's various reasons why. Um, and this, in the long run, this may benefit the Iranian team. So, there are skeptics on both sides.
Hmm.
A notable thing that he did do, this is kind of a bit of a side point, but he didn't include, our probably most experienced centre back Jalal Hosseini in our 23 squad,
Hmm.
and in the Turkey game in our recent friendly, you could tell there were definite cracks in our defence,
Hmm.
and uh, because of political ties, and again I'm bringing up politics,
Hmm.
but um, we had two friendlies. We had a friendly against Greece lined up, which got cancelled. I don't really know why still, and then we had another friendly against Kosovo lined up, and that was also cancelled. Um, you know, Disagreements on both sides. I don't really know. Either way, Carlos Queiroz has very little time to experiment with our new back four
Hmm.
and our two centre back partnerships. So, you know, although it may have been a decent decision at the time because he wanted to get a more youthful centre back, experience, but yeah, I don't know if it will pay off
Mm.
because experimenting in the World Cup is not the place you want
Yeah,
to put
yeah.
an inexperienced centre back.
Um, okay. So the profession, as you were saying, the professional squad list. Are there any players that we should look out for? That you expect to shine that maybe in Europe we're not so aware of?
Yeah, so I think he's got a lot of media coverage and a lot of newspapers have covered him. Is he plays in Holland? Is Alireza Jahanbakhsh.
Hmm.
He he's been an absolutely formidable player this season. He got he's played in the Dutch lower divisions and he's worked his way up. And he plays for AZ Alkmaar, who's I think finished in the top five in the Eredivisie. So he's been an incredible player. He plays on the wing. He cuts inside. He can shoot with left foot, right foot. He's both footed. He's incredible. He actually finished top goal scorer in the Eredivisie with 21 goals.
Okay.
Um, so no,
Yeah.
that's never happened before. We never had a player score that many goals in a European top division. So he's definitely a player that we need to look out for, and that I think other clubs will definitely look out for as well.
He's worth a gamble on the first goal score. The
Yeah,
thing
for sure.
is,
But also, we've got, I mentioned before, Samuel Ghoddos, who plays in Sweden. That was also another tug of war between the Iranian team and the Swedish team because he's been capped for the Swedish, youth
mm,
teams. But yeah, Carlos Queiroz managed to convince him to come play for us.
mm,
He is an absolute gem as well. I think Arsene Wenger described him as a very dangerous player because he was the only one in the team that was challenging the goalkeeper, challenging the Arsenal defenders. Um, so he's definitely one to look out for as well. He plays in the. I prefer him as the number 10 role, sort of the attacking midfielder, but he can play. He's very versatile. He can play on the wing as well.
so the last World Cup, my pronunciation wouldn't be great. So Reza Guchan
Good
Ijad.
chances, yeah.
Well, he was the one that caught my eye, or caught most people's eyes. I mean, so how? I think he was playing with Charlton at the time. I think, but
Yeah, he's had a few clubs. He now plays in Holland. He's gone back to Holland.
okay.
He's had a decent season this division, I think. But he's been kind of out of favour due to injuries as well. So he hasn't been at the very top of his game, which is unfortunate. He was very important last qualifying campaign.
Hmm.
He scored against South Korea to get us into the 2014 World Cup, so he was very important. And I think he scored our only goal as well in the World Cup.
Mm.
But due to injuries, he's kind of become a bit out of favour. He's been taken to the World Cup. I still think he's a great player,
Mm.
but he starts. I think he's sort of down the pecking order of our strikers.
Mm.
Sadar Azmoun, he's a young player, a young striker who plays in Russia. He's very strong. He's very good in the air. He kind of reminds me of young Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's very very strong.
Mm.
He wasn't taken to the last World Cup due to inexperience, but I think this World Cup he's definitely ready and he's going to challenge the defenders.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah, kind of Reza Buchanaj is kind of behind him
Okay.
now.
I'd like to see him come on, maybe against Morocco. That's the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, he's like a lot as a player. I think he shouldn't be disregarded as a player at all.
Mm. So it sounds all pretty positive so far. I mean, you're selling me this idea now that they might actually get out of the group.
I'm a Red fan where we're just extremely optimistic moving forward. But I mean, there are a lot of problems still. Our back four is not. I don't think is capable of defending against Isco, Ronaldo.
Mm.
There are holes there. There's definitely our fullbacks aren't that good. Especially our right back. He's not as strong as. I don't really like him as a player too much. I don't think he's very strong.
Hmm.
And our substitute fullbacks aren't even better as well. So
So the order of the games, you have Morocco first, and then is it Spain or Portugal next?
in Portugal,
Okay, so it's going to be
Spain's first.
yeah. So So it's Morocco, Spain.
Portugal.
Okay, okay. Now it's the order kind of. If you had the Spain game last year, maybe it would be a bit easier, I think,
Yeah, I know.
because you imagine Portugal, depending on their results with Spain, they'd probably be, if they lose to Spain, I couldn't see them drawing then with Iran, you know, the order.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think Spain will win the group. If Spain win against Portugal, I don't think we're going to win against Spain anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
That game, we could go into the. This is all about our players and experience now. If we lose, when we lose that game, I think we will lose that game. I think it'll be tight. Don't get me wrong, but I think we will.
Hmm.
We'll give them a challenge for sure. But it's all about our players and how they can pick themselves up and move into the Portugal game because a draw there and the 3 points against Morocco,
Hmm.
if Spain win the group, could definitely challenge for the second place spot in the
Hmm.
group.
Hmm. And it could go. I guess it goes down to goal difference as well.
Yeah, yeah. We're
Um,
defensively not bad as a cohesive unit. We're pretty good. We get all 10 men behind the ball, so we're very good at with a lone striker at the top. So for the counter attack of play, um, so we're very good at the cohesive defensive back two lines. But it is Spain and Portugal at the end of the day. They are very strong.
Mm, mm. But as you said, like you can visualize how they could get a result against Portugal if similar to the way they played against Argentina.
Yeah.
Um, but against Spain, I couldn't see that. I can't see any result other than Spain win. But so what's the atmosphere like in Iran? Is it excitement building up? Do people wave flags from their windows? Are there posters going up in bedrooms? Do people get really excited about the
Yeah,
World Cup? Or
there's been a lot of hype, as with any country in the World Cup, to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, luckily we're a very big footballing nation. Uh, there's the football runs through the streets up until the division. It's very big in Iran. There's a lot of Iran flags. People wearing Iran shirts, walking around the streets. So yeah, there's a lot of hype, and what you guys can expect at the World Cup is some very noisy group of fans going to the World Cup
Mhm.
because we take our vuvuzelas and make as much noise as possible to get behind us.
Okay, I don't know about vuvuzelas though.
I think
And are many Iranians going to Russia to support the team?
I think so. I wanted to go at some point, but I got sort of clogged down with other things. But
Mm,
I think, yeah, I think a lot of fans are going
mm.
because Russia's not. Luckily for us, it's
Yeah, it's
not
just stuff.
too hard to get a visa for and it's not too far away as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I think a lot of fans will go.
Mm. Would you change your mind and going if they got into the second round? Maybe.
Oh, that'd be a dream come true. Yeah.
You, you,
Um,
you wouldn't make quick,
play,
quick,
actually.
quick travel arrangements.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's extremely hard to get tickets, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So how do you so how's the build up for the World Cup in So you said some friendlies were cancelled, but other friendlies, how are they playing?
Yeah, so our most recent friendly against Turkey, I think, was a big test for our group of players because Turkey were quite unlucky to not get into the World Cup. They're a very decent side.
Hmm.
They've got a lot of players playing at the top level as well. We lost 2-1 in that game. I didn't really see much positivity in that game. I'll be honest. It wasn't a great watch for us. I think mainly because Carlos Queiroz is experimenting right now with our players and our group, like our best team to put forward.
Hmm.
Um, that's what I'm putting it down to. I'm also putting it down to our inexperienced centre back partnership. We used to have a really good cohesive centre back partnership, but because he left out Jalal Hosseini, he needs to experiment with that. We conceded 2 goals, which is very, very much unlike us. We brought one back, but it was a penalty. So I'm not really taking that many positives out of that game.
Hmm.
I hope Carlos Queiroz, pins down his best team and sticks with that. Unluckily for us, the Greece-Kosovo friendlies have been cancelled.
Hmm.
So that's one less game to prepare. And then I think we've got a friendly against Lithuania as well. It's not. This is the thing with Iran. We can't organise friendlies
Mm,
with big teams
mm,
because of political ties again.
mm.
It's really annoying for us because after the 2014 World Cup, I thought there'll be sort of a queue of teams trying to play us, um, but there wasn't. That we were
Mm,
back to the same sort of
mm.
friendly Lithuania, Slovakia. So
Yeah,
it's not great World Cup preparations for
no.
the of boys, but you know, it's okay to sort of experiment with, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess probably usually a lot of teams just before the World Cup they pick an easy enough team just to give the team confidence. You'd imagine that they'd have a lot of goals against Lithuania, I guess. You know,
Yeah, yeah, sure
just
you're right.
right. Not really much else to say. I mean, I have a beer blog. I mean, do they drink beer in Iran? It's a big no-no.
No, it's alcohol's not. Not.
So, who do you think will win the World Cup then? Who do you fancy to lift the trophy?
Although they won it last time. I'm definitely backing Germany.
Hmm.
They've got a formidable player in each position. And then you look at their subs; they've got even better players.
Hmm. Hmm.
I definitely back the Germans. They do a great World Cup every single campaign, and I definitely back them this World Cup as well.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, their squad is amazing. If one player leaves, another player comes in. No questions. Don't have to worry about it. And a dark horse. Any teams that you might fancy, like Belgium or something like
Yeah,
that?
it might be a little bit. It might be a little bit different actually, but I think Senegal could actually go reasonably far.
Okay.
No, I think because they've got a decent midfield with a lot of their players playing the Premier League.
Hmm.
They've got Sadio Mane, who, as a Southampton fan, I know full well how far he's gone in the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
He's always coming out with goals as well,
Mm.
playing the Champions League, and they've got some decent players. I definitely back them. If they get out their group, they could go pretty
Yeah,
far.
I think they've got an easy enough group. I think it's
Yeah, that's why I backed them. They've got a decent group, and
Poland
if it
and
gets out, they could actually go maybe to the quarter-final stages.
yeah, yeah, that's not a bad tip. I mean, they're one of those teams that always play nice football anyway. Um, so what overall with the World Cup, do you think it will be a success? Do you think Russia will put on a good show?
Yeah, I think so. I think they definitely got the capacity for it. The stadiums are pretty good. My only concern is that I think last World Cup there was definitely sort of fans fighting with each other. I think England fans and Russian fans.
Hmm.
I think that would be the only sort of downside. And there's a lot of racism as well in Russian football stadiums.
Hmm.
If they can sort of combat that, I think it'll be a very good World Cup for all countries.
Hmm. So if people want to check out your stuff, Sina, where can they find? Do you have an Instagram or a Twitter or
It's just a Twitter page for now, yeah, at Iran Footy.
Hmm.
It's just that for now, but yeah, we post sort of twice a day,
Hmm.
once a day at least.
Hmm.
Right now we're doing a countdown to the World Cup, so with each day we're doing a different fact. So 14 days and then 13 days we do a different fact about Iran and like our footballing chances in the World Cup. So yeah,
Okay, excellent. Okay, Sina, I appreciate you giving me your time.
no worries.
I think it's a positive assessment of Iran, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how they get on now. I think, yeah. Well, that's the Portugal game. We'll see.
All our fans really want is for them to go out and just challenge the teams and sort of
Mm,
just fight for our country as much as they can. If
mm,
they come away with a result of 1-0 or a 2-0, we wouldn't be disheartened at all because we've seen the progress our team has made.
mm.
In 4 years we'll come back, we'll be a better team, and eventually, who knows? Like we might challenge for the big places in the World Cup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Iran do always put on a show in the World Cup. I mean, even the one against the USA. What was that? Ali Dali. Ali.
Yeah, that was 1998. It was a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, again, I mean, you didn't get out of a group of people remember that game, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, Iran do create their own stories in the World Cup. So, you might not get out of the group, but yeah, maybe nobble Ronaldo in the first minute or something. Okay, so thanks for giving me your time. It was great, half an hour more. I'll be in touch, Sina, and I'll send you the links. Okay.
Okay, cool. Just cut out all the boring stuff.
I'll do. I will. I will. Oh, it was very interesting. I was really happy to get that. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Bye
All
bye.
right,
Bye bye.
later. Bye.